This ain't no disco.
This ain't no country club neither.
This is RVA.
Welcome back, everybody, to another thrilling episode of
Oh la la.
In the Dungeon.
Episode 8.
Yeah, baby.
I hope
Flying through them.
Oh yeah. I hope everyone's doing okay out there. We had a good 2 weeks, a little bit of a rodeo.
Oh, yeah. And, gosh, the weather has just been nice.
Yeah, it really well, a little hot today, but I'll take it.
Beggars can't be choosers.
An early summer. We went right from one to the other.
Yeah, we don't really have, 4 seasons anymore.
There's no in between.
We have 12. We have 8 or 9.
Yeah, right. We're right into Devil's back porch.
Yes, that's
Yep. And then it'll be, what is it, like third spring?
yeah. We had
That's right.
we had a fake spring about 3 weeks ago.
We did, I remember.
So-
So,
What you been up to, Liv?
well, I went to the Pyro Circus with my boyfriend. I was put on by Gallery 5, which is one of my favorite art galleries in the city. And it was their 18th birthday celebration and also their
birthday.
spring kickoff. And the Pyro Circus is put on by a group called PLF, Party Life Liberation Foundation. And I saw some of my favorite local spinners perform, such as Jaspin and Steven. And I met some new ones this time, but we'll go more into that. And you'll all learn more about what PLF is during this episode. And I also saw What's Our Age Again perform at River City Roll with my friend Jessica. They played pop punk and emo hits from the 2000s, and they were better than I expected them to be, and I actually had a freaking blast. So shout out to them.
Emo's not dead.
It's not surely alive.
It just thinks it is.
Yeah.
It wants to be.
Also, I couldn't see my family this year for Easter, so Liz adopted me.
Yay!
And I spent it with her family. And she made peep martinis. The weather was perfect.
Oh my gosh, we got a little litty kitty up in there, or a litty bunny, I don't know what. But,
Sorry, Jesus.
I got giant Easter eggs, and I filled them with mini bottles and chocolate.
I left mine, of course.
It's fine. I ate it, probably. And we played cornhole. I had
We kicked some ass.
soaked peeps in vodka for 2 days, and we ate their bodies afterwards. Very strong. And we had a damn good
We
Easter.
kicked some ass at corn.
Oh my God! Yes, the ladies ran
was
the
ladies'
world.
night.
What?
We kicked some, our boy, well, Haroon and Alejandro's ass.
Yeah.
I was quite proud.
And what else? Gosh.
For Easter or what happened?
Well, for Easter, that was about it. Except I don't really remember the ending. That's how good
I don't
it
remember
was.
the ending either.
The food was really good.
I woke up the next day. And what's that, Lee?
Well, and I had a little adventure this 2 weeks ago myself.
Do tell.
I had a friend come up from southeastern Virginia, and I took him on a cultural tour of Richmond.
Nice.
Took about 5 minutes. I'm just kidding.
I don't think so.
It's no. We went.
Ew.
He wanted to see the Civil War Museum downtown, and I found a new source for good local products. So they sell lots of good local products on there.
What place?
It's at the gift shop. Strangely enough, it's like all the local vendors. They have like I got some apple butter, got some peanuts, and some other things. Yeah, so
I
that's
love
nice.
apple butter.
Me
So
too.
yeah, I haven't been downtown in like years, and then Richmond has the only Confederate Jewish cemetery in the United States, and it's over there on 5th Street somewhere. But we went to see it. Yeah, so
That's cool.
and we visited Carytown, and he got so upset because it was crowded. It was a beautiful day in Carytown, and
Carytown, baby.
it's like the walk and don't walk. It's just kind of a guideline,
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I did.
It's not good driving down there. You got to walk.
Yeah.
That's for sure. And then I also went to my first RVA Kickers game with my friend Jess. They tied. Nobody scored, if I'm correct. I mean, I didn't really watch the game, let's be honest.
Does anyone watch the games when they got here?
And the weather was perfect again, and they had Chick-fil-A. Well, I I know Chick-fil-A is controversial, and sometimes I feel bad eating it. But they're good. And then we ran into so many people that we knew, and a little girl stopped us, and she was like, "Can I show you a trick?" And we're like, "Okay." And I was like, "Is it going to cost any money?" And she's like, "No." And she did a bunch of gymnastic tricks. So that was cute.
Cute.
Wow.
And then she said that she thought I was 49.
What?
But kids have no concept of
I'll
it.
disagree.
That's all right.
Oh yeah.
Interesting. Well, and then I went to a rodeo. Yeehaw, this past Saturday. Yeah,
Oh.
my friend Amy, she had bought tickets a couple of weeks ago and had totally forgotten about it, and it was last minute, but we had fun.
It looked fun.
It was out in Doswell, and of course, I had been drinking at Ardent, at Swine and Brine, shout out to Ardent, all day, so that was the perfect, like, lead up to some more beer drinking, some bronx and blood, you know,
Yeehaw.
out there. But if it comes back, I recommend everyone go. It was pretty fun. And cowboys are hot.
Amen to that. My Lord. And then we went to brunch. Miscellaneous, our last interview recommended.
Shout out Miscellaneous. Yeah.
Where was it?
It was Bar West, yes. Which, oh my God, I'm sorry to the people who own Bar West, but Coco Drio sucked, and Bar West is way better. So I'm giving like a backhanded compliment here. But my God, go to Bar West. Run, don't walk.
What was the name of the cocktail that we had?
I can't remember.
It was so good. It was like a light margarita.
If you
With
can't remember it, that's a good
some,
sign.
cucumber in it.
We don't remember a
It
lot.
was really good. A little tagine rim. Mwah.
Ooh, that was good.
And then, of course, I had to get one espresso martini.
And me too. It's tradition.
At brunch, of course.
Food was good too.
And you don't mess with tradition.
That's right. And that was about it.
That was it. All right. Well,
Shall we introduce
time
our
to
guest?
introduce our guest. So, a little backstory before we introduce him, or who could it be? But anyway, when I first moved to Virginia, I started really getting into hula hooping and the flow arts, and I became a member at Fallout nightclub, and that's where I met one of my closest Virginia friends, Petra, at a flow arts event there. And we both went to, after that, we went to an RVA First Friday event. We went to the Pyro Circus, and it was my first one, put on by PLF, like I said at the beginning of the episode. And we saw people hula hooping with fire, and I had never seen that in person. And like spinning, poi, and all sorts of other flow props to really awesome DJs with like heavy bass. And we were both like, oh my God, this is so freaking cool. So we started going to PLF warehouse parties. We got somehow invited to Ubatuba, and then we started going to more. And then we went to Decemberween. Oh my God, it was so much fun. And I went to Octoberween for the first time this past Halloween. And that's where we saw more flow arts and workshops, DJs, lots of art, installations, paintings, fire shooting rigs. They're known for their fire.
That's awesome.
And like cool immersive spaces. So like really like interesting art environments. Like I want my house to look like how they set up the parties. And then Petra took it a step further, and she started volunteering with PLF. And she went to their own festival called Transformus. So today's guest is one of the many talented DJs from PLF who is here to educate us about burn culture in Richmond. He goes by many names: Nyan, Ryan, Bohman, but you might recognize him as DjGON. So let's give him a warm welcome.
Hey. Thanks, y'all, for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for
course.
coming.
Yeah, thanks
This
for
is a
being
cool
here.
guest.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Yeah, me too.
Liz and I, we want to go to Burning Man eventually. So this is like cool to be with
like
some,
bucket list,
yeah.
baby.
Nice.
for real.
Yeah, well, I always tell people if they're interested in going to Burning Man, the best thing to do is to, A, get familiar with the 10 principles, which right this second I don't know off the top of my head, but also to try to go to a local burn. Because going out to Burning Man, you kind of just throw yourself out in the desert, and it's, you know, things
Die,
go out there
maybe?
to die.
No, yeah.
Be a culture
things go out
shock.
there to die. That's period. Like you go out there and you're like, oh my God, am I going to die out here? And everybody's like, this is actually what you're walking on is a bunch of bones. Like this is all fish bones and it's on the
What?
bottom of a
I
lake
didn't know
bed.
that either.
Yeah, it's all, and you can suffocate from it. You have to like wear specific gear. You have to wash yourself with white vinegar twice a day.
Is
Yeah.
is that why they wear gas masks?
Well, there will be whiteouts. This previous year that I went, there were whiteouts sometime for an entire day,
Oh my god.
and we like, yeah, it just it's you're out there and you're like, wow, I paid all
Wow.
this money to go out there, and I'm gonna sit in a covered area huddled with my friends, which is awesome, for 20 something hours while there's a whiteout going on, and some people were coming. They're like, oh my gosh, like I broke, like something in my eye broke because I got dust in it.
Oh my
And
god.
the ER was like crazy. And again, everybody's like, I spent how much money to do this to myself? And you're like, yeah. But then the next day or later that night, we went and saw Apache, like all these international DJs and art from all over the world.
Wow.
And you're like, wow, okay, cool.
What about desert dwellers?
Desert Dwellers
Oh,
played multiple
love
times.
Desert
Trevor Moon
Dwellers.
Tribe was there. And yeah, it was just,
Awesome.
yeah, you would go the night, it's like a crazy adventure. And then you're like, wow, I'm going to be out here for 10 more days. Sweet.
It's got to be better than Firefest.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, so I always tell people to try to check out like a regional burn. Transformus is one of them. It's in West Virginia. I know they're looking at land in North Carolina.
And we will get into Transformers. We want to first the basics, and
Give us
then
a
we're
little
gonna go into the
intro, yes.
fun stuff. But like
Yeah.
right off the bat, like Burning Man we're itching to know more. But anyway, let's just begin with basics. Are you from Richmond? If not, where? And when did you move here? What brought you here?
Yeah. So I was born in Hawaii, actually. I raised in Louisiana, Homa for a while, and then moved to Wilmington, North Carolina for a good majority of my life. Moved to, like I was telling him earlier, 2012, I opened the Guitar Center in Midlothian. I had a friend in PLF who was like, come up here, we're trying to get you to move up here. And I was like, cool. And then I moved to Asheville to work at the Moog factory, moved back to Wilmington, and then 2015, I came here to Richmond, and I haven't looked back. I've had other places that have been like, oh, DC looks cool, or this place looks cool, or out west, but I feel pretty content here.
Well, it sounds like you've lived some pretty cool places, though. I'm like,
Yeah.
born in Hawaii, lived in Louisiana.
She got married in Hawaii.
Yes, yeah. And then my husband's family lives in Asheville, so
Okay, cool, yeah.
yeah, and he has a Moog keyboard, so
Nice.
and he used to go to Moog Fest all the time. Y'all would be very good
I know,
friends.
yeah.
Probably, yeah.
There's a Moog Fest.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
in Raleigh, North Carolina
Yeah.
now.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So when did you start DJing, and how did you get into it? How old were you?
So I was 17 when I first got into DJing. It was just kind of really weird. One of my friends I was living with, like I had a drum kit, guitar, every instrument, and he had turntables, and I think we were just young, like let's smoke some weed and put some songs on, and
Right.
then yeah, I don't know, sometimes I'll just like kind of get bored and be like, cool, I'm gonna try to match these two tracks together. And then eventually one of my friends is like, can you come DJ my party? And I was like, I'm not really a DJ. He's like, dude, you're a DJ, like you've made me so many mix CDs. And went and did that, and everybody was like, this is amazing, you're so good at it. And I was like, oh wow, okay. And yeah, so that was kind of my start.
I bet you were like party hopping at that point because everyone wanted you to be there. Probably.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. And I kind of started like it's called Project Chalk, was what the group, like our group was, that would party hop and stuff.
Mhm.
We did this in Wilmington, which is UNCW. I always tell people, I'm like, you go to Wilmington, you're just gonna get drunk walking in. Like everybody's drinking, partying. It's a beach
Where I
town.
got my first tattoo.
There you go.
Tramp stamp.
Nice.
That's where I'll get my first future.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and then, I was like, oh, cool. Like, like everybody was like, cool. This is like now getting to be bigger than just me and like a few people. And then we had an organization and we got a board. And then we wanted to become a 501c3 nonprofit. But in order to do that in North Carolina, you have to like commit to either a school or a church or like educating children or doing religious stuff for, I think it's like 4 to 5 years. And I was like, just turned 18 at that point and was like, okay, like this is, like I'm not
Peace out.
religious and I don't want to have
Yeah.
kids. I don't, not interested in them. And then that's kind of like, as I was getting older, at about 21, is whenever PLF at that point, which had been around for, 5-6 years at that point. We're actually thinking about starting a nonprofit, and that's kind of when I was like, oh man, I kind of want to get to know these PLF guys a little bit better.
Nice.
Okay, before we get into like how you got associated with PLF, just explain to people who might not know like anything at all about burn culture. What is it?
Yeah, so it's definitely, some people say it's kind of like culty. And it's interesting enough, that's kind of what I liked about it. I was like, I understand there's all these like groups and cliques and stuff like that, but there's this clique that with burn culture is that like they have a principle decommodification. So they don't like put a single person on a platform. There's no money. And when I came and I saw that, I was like, wow, that's awesome. And then again, I saw principles, and I would sometimes, just being young, be like, oh, well, you're disobeying the principle. They'd be like, dude, it's a principle, not a rule. I'm like, oh, wow, okay, I didn't think about that. And yeah, I guess to anybody who's like not familiar with burn culture, I would just say it's not a festival. It's not a public necessarily event. They have all the principles which are based upon like radical self-reliance, radical self-expression, and just the radical side of it. I was like, oh, cool. Like I'm a very do it to the max kind of person. And the fact that there were a group of people that were like, we want to support you doing the max of whatever you want to do. And it was just wild. I'm like, cool, I want to build like a 20-foot TV and have a DJ behind it. Like, cool, let's do it. I was like, oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Wow,
That's
really
awesome.
Yes.
Especially no money. That's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there's obviously like there's the money outside where you got to like prepare, and that's where radical self-reliance comes in. But then there's just the fact that there's like art grants, and just all sorts of ways to sort of like move things to where, again, if you don't have money, you could be any type of person and be welcome to this culture, and that was like really really awesome to me. That's how I started. Like, I grew up personally. I have a trans and gay aunt and uncle, and just being able to go out there and be like, wow, there are like people that I grew up with like here, and just like all sorts of different backgrounds as far as like ethics and stuff like that, and the respect towards people. I'd never really hung out with a lot of people from the Middle East, but I like really connected with a lot of people that were playing music and stuff like that. Yeah, like I said, it just really blew my mind, and I think if anybody, I would say it's a place where a lot of weird people, or like the freaks, as they say it.
My favorite kind of people.
I was
Yeah.
gonna say for shizzle.
I might not look like a freak, but inside.
Yeah, it's all on the inside, and that's what's cool. Is like you'll see at Burning Man, like the people are like, oh my God, like P Diddy, Kanye West, like all these people, Paris Hilton.
He did it.
You see these people, and you're hanging out, and you're like,
That's awesome.
oh my God, I'm hanging out right next to, like, you're like
Mind blown.
shocked. You're like, I'm hanging out
Yeah.
with Tipper, and
Oh, I love Tipper.
David Starfire, and you're just like Alex Gray, like right
Oh my
here.
God, Alex
It's just like,
Gray.
whoa, I'm just hanging out with all these people.
Did you meet Alex Gray?
I've actually done a few things with Alex Gray. And actually, when I went to Burning Man in 2017, he actually was like, hey, what's up, GON? And I was like, oh my God. What's
my
up, dude?
God. For the listeners, if you know the band Tool,
Yeah.
Alex Gray does all the trippy ass artwork for Tool.
Yeah.
And I have a calendar. I didn't throw it away. It's from like 2018. I just like flip through it occasionally.
Yeah.
Gawk at it.
Stare at it.
Yeah, there's just so many amazing artists. And again, there's that level of where you're like, nobody's better than anybody else. Like P. Diddy invited some of my friends that I was camping with. Was like, come hang out at my spot. And like my camp.
Oh my
Like,
God.
okay, cool. And they came back in all white. And they're like, dude, P. Diddy just like,
Oh my God, I
gifted
knew
us
they were gonna
these
do all
white
white.
jackets. And like, I'm like, wow, where's the rest of your clothes? They're like, we don't know. We're just sitting naked underneath this like beautiful white thing that's got to cost $800.
God, that sounds like so much fun.
I'd be like, I don't care what my real clothes are.
Yeah,
This
no,
is
they did
me
not
now.
care. They were like, yeah, exactly.
I
This
got
is who I
Diddy's
am.
white on, baby.
Yeah, it was like an all white party. It was pretty cool because they have whiteouts where the playa dust, the dust storms.
Yeah.
So they had a whiteout party and everybody wore white. It was great.
Okay, so this might be a stupid question, but do all burn groups use fire?
I think no, it's not really. Yeah, I mean, I think fire is a big element, and like as a fire artist myself, I think what happens is like a lot of people are like, where can I do fire at? You try to do it at a festival, you're gonna have to have insurance. You're gonna run into all these like lines that tell you can't. and we're to a burn, they're just like, yeah, you got to register your fire thing, and then they'll have somebody make sure it's safe, and then you're good to go. And then you sign the waiver.
Wow.
Like, I can't tell you. I've seen, like, fire jousting. My first time seeing a
Whoa.
flame effect,
Oh, wow.
somebody was like, hey, put on this fire, like, turnout suit, which is like a firefighter suit, and we're going to blow a flamethrower on you. And I was like, yes. And it was like, felt like a massage. It was so cool and, like, warm massage.
Scary.
That sounds like a thing to do. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
I might need that on my neck.
Liz
right
would do
now.
that.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
definitely.
Okay. Okay. I think you might have covered this already, but just again, how did you start with PLF? What was your journey like there? How did you get associated with them? How'd they find you?
Yeah, so I guess like the best thing is that I was living in Wilmington, and there is a person named Jordan. They're really, really awesome and very inspiring to me. I don't even know how to put it. It's like I had a really interesting relationship with them, and just as friends. And yeah, it was just one of those things where they hung out. They hung out with a lot of gay people, and it was really, really cool. And again, like I said, I have family that was like that, and in Wilmington, that wasn't like a cool thing, So I was like, oh, sweet, I found this queer group that I can, like, me and my other friends who are queer want to hang out with, And eventually they're like, okay, cool, you're very cis dude, so we got to, like, put the, like, flags and the borders. And I was like, no, I respect that. And then eventually they're like, okay, we think you're cool enough to, like, come hang out at our parties. And I was like, oh, thank God,
Wow. What an honor. That's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Yes.
so then eventually they were like, hey, you need to come to this, like, burn thing. And I was like, okay, cool. And I started going to the burn thing for, like, 3 or 4 years. And then one of the years that I thought I was in my prime, I was like, man, I'm, like, getting to be, like, this badass burner now. I was about to turn 21. And then PLF, like, rolled up in this bus. They had fire sculptures. Some of, like, most, like, I thought I was like, oh, cool, I know fire spinners. And then these guys had really cool fire spinners, amazing sound system, just everything. And I, at that point,
It takes your breath away.
yeah.
Like, when you your first time seeing PLF, it's like, what is this? It's so
Right.
cool.
So I, like, built this crazy thing and was like, everybody's going to come and hang out at my camp and blah, blah, blah. And then everybody was hanging out at PLF. And I was, like, not even jealous. I was just like, this is cool. What, like, is it cool if I hang out with them?
You're like,
And-
can I be a part of this?
Yeah.
Exactly,
That's how
yeah.
I felt, too.
And so that Jordan was like, hey, you're turning 21 this year, right? And I was like, yeah. And they're like, you want to come to Transformus? And at that point, Transformus was an invite only. You had to be 21. All these, like, really cool culty, clicky kind of rules that I was like, oh, yeah, I'm, like, in now,
Yeah.
And I was like, can I camp with PLF? And they're like, there might be room. So I, like, found a local burn group to go there with. And they were like, if you want to be a part of PLF, like, you got to help out and, like, you got to volunteer. And it's just like there's a system that's in place because everybody wants to be a part of PLF, which I don't know if that was true or not. But
Well, how does someone learn the skills, though? Like, you find someone to mentor you, or, like, in general, like, if someone's listening and they're like, damn, I want to do that.
Well, I mean, then a lot of this stuff, I feel like nothing was accessible. They didn't have, YouTube wasn't big, and I just got really
You
lucky.
took a master class.
Yeah,
online.
I got really lucky, and the person that was, like, the founder of Transformus, was he threw this thing called Mayhem, but my sister's boyfriend was dating his neighbor, and it was just it's all like, whoa. And then I was like, hey, young, and was like, I want to be badass. I want to build a flamethrower, like a big ass one. And he was like, you're gonna hurt yourself. And I was like, okay, cool, I'm gonna figure this out. And he's like, no, let me show you so that you don't hurt yourself. And he's actually, like, the top guy who does all the inspections and everything. His name's Vespa. And I just felt really fortunate, honestly. Like, the way I kind of got into that was very much me taking a lot of practice, learning, experiencing and seeing the bad side of things,
Right.
volunteer firefighting. There's a lot of steps that went into it, and eventually I was like, cool. And I started seeing other people being like, I want to be badass. And I was like, whoa, dude,
Yeah.
you're going to hurt yourself. And again, I'd seen people hurt themselves. I'd seen the spectrum of all of that. And but, like, nowadays it's kind of like, oh, cool. Like, go on YouTube, go on Discord, go on a Facebook. There's Facebook groups, like all these Facebook
Right.
groups
Yeah.
that you can get into. And now, like, I mean, we have groups like Party Liberation Foundation that are doing workshops. And you're like, wait, what? I can do a workshop to learn a fire spin? And for the pyro circus, it's like, hey, if you want to spin, it used to be just come. And now it's like, hey, you can't do this if this is your first time. But here's a workshop, or here's somebody you can
Yeah, that's
connect
so
with
cool.
to do so. So if somebody wants to get into it, I think it's a lot more accessible.
It's intimidating for me because I'm a hula hooper, but I haven't taken it to the pyro aspect
Yeah.
yet. I know Patra has. Patra
Mhm.
bought one.
You can throw fire on me.
I'm scared to death though. Like, what kind of stuff have you seen? Can you talk about any of the accidents? You don't
Yeah,
have
it's
to name
mainly when I was
names.
doing firefighting, and I think that was the big thing was they were like, hey, and so they showed videos to sort of desensitize you, because what happens if something bad does happen, you're gonna have shock. You're gonna go, oh my god, I can't believe I'm seeing that. You can't do that.
To attack with a blanket, right? You just like
So there is fire blankets. There's certain type of extinguishers, water. And there's the thing too is like, you can't like on a fire blanket. There's a certain way to do it because you could fan it and make it worse, or there's a specific way to grab it, and that's why we have like the classes and stuff so that people understand and know. And even me sometimes, like last time I went to Burning Man this past year, I went with a local fire troop called Exothermia. And they're like, hey, Bohman, like I was the musician, so I like made a drum kit out of a bucket and like made it all like super cool and like steampunk. But they're like,
That's
hey,
awesome.
if you need to, or like, can you help us do fire safety? And I was like, yeah, I've been doing fire safety for blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah. And the first time I had to put a prop out, they're like, dude, you're doing it completely wrong. And I was like, oh, what? And they're like, yeah, you can't, you're fanning it.
Oh
And I
my
was like,
God.
oh, no, you're right. I totally forgot about that. It's been like 8 years. And they're like, yeah, well, we shouldn't just assume that you know what you're doing.
Right.
So again, it's just one of those practice. And again, it was like everybody was supportive of me, and they're like, hey, let's do this and let's work. Or what made you do that? And I was like, well, it was hot. And they're like, all right, cool. Maybe we should have like wet blankets. And I was like, yeah. And like, so it's kind of evolved from there.
Interesting.
That's cool. Okay, this is a fun question.
Nice.
How did you get your burn name? How did you get it? And then also, well, I guess I'll say this for after you answer, but how does one go about getting one? Can anyone get one?
Yeah. That's such a funny question. I've actually had that asked to me more recently a lot, as far as like, how do I get a burn name? But I got my burn name because at Mayhem there was 2 lands, and they were connected by woods, and a lot of my friends were building like a maze. Even like when I first went, there was like little pockets in this maze where like they would be doing like yoga, another spot where they would be doing like noise music and stuff, and another pocket where they were doing like Zen meditation.
It's like a cool haunted house.
Oh my gosh, it was like I still like I have dreams about it. Like I don't understand how cool. Like it's one of those things you look back and you're like, God, I took that for granted.
Yeah.
But yeah, so one year I was like, hey, can I put a DJ booth in the middle? And everybody's like, yes, you need to do that. And that was the year that PLF came, and I like put all this work into.
You just stay in there forever.
Yeah, I totally was
Yeah,
fine
right?
with that. I like figured out a way to put my campsite like right behind it.
You're like, this is my little pod.
Yeah, well, I thought it was so cool, and the people would get lost in the maze, and then people started being like, "Well, find the music," and then I eventually was like hanging out with people at my campsite, and they were like, "Dude, like whatever was going on in the maze was so awesome. The best way I can describe it is I was so gone." And like I was saying, I had my name was Project Chalk for my group, and everybody kept on being like, "You can't call yourself Project Chalk because people are going to get confused, and if it's just you or if it's a group. And my buddy was like, dude, you should just go by Gone. And I was like, and they're like, like that's just how I feel when I listen to your music. So I think that's your name. And I was like, yeah, that's my name. Like, cool.
That's cool.
So everybody started just calling me Gone. And yeah, just went with it. And then as far as like, I mean, a lot of other people, like, I feel like what you kind of got to do is you got to do something radical. And it's something that everybody's going to be like, how did you like describe you? Somebody's like, I don't know that person's name. Cool. What are they? Well, they,
Kind of like Michael Scott. He's
yeah,
like-
yeah. Like Vespa, like obviously, how do you think Vespa got his name? And that also creates really, really cool stories, right? So yeah, I would definitely say burn names are definitely, you need to do something radical and make a big impact to where people are like, who is that person?
Do people ever do things on purpose just to get like a certain name?
Yeah, there are. And they don't, and then they'll be like, Yeah, trying.
Or it'll go like
My
totally
name's
left
Try
from
hard.
what they want. Like,
Yeah, there's some people.
like I lit my hair on fire. I want to be called like burning roots.
Uh-huh.
And then like, no.
Yeah, no,
You're
that's
like
a great.
toasty head.
Yeah, like I said, it's typically I don't think people like think about it and they just do something that's really radical and they're like, "That's your name." I'm trying to remember like one of my friends there. I think his name was Confidence.
Oh, that's
'Cause
cute.
He was really confident, like
I like
overly.
Oh yeah, I'm like, is that like a backhanded?
Yeah.
comment?
And
Like,
everybody was like, "Who's that guy?" And they're like, "I don't know. Are you talking about that really confident person?" I'm like, "Yeah, that person."
My bird name is Cries a Lot.
Yeah, that's fine. That'd actually be a great burn name. Yeah. So
I would be like quivering in the corner a lot.
These would be tits.
yeah.
I know. Who are we gonna? I'd be Tits McGee.
That'd be Fog.
There you
That
go.
old
That would be
guy.
awesome.
Lee, what would be your burning name?
Fog. Fat old guy.
Oh, nice.
That's great.
Yeah.
Did you already have a burning name?
Not burning name, no.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go.
If you could define, I know we've talked about it a lot, but if you could define PLF, what are they? What do they stand for?
Yeah. So I would definitely say PLF definitely is like a organization of, or I guess maybe more or less, it's a community, of people who all, have liked minds, open to diversity, radical, ness in general. And I think that's kind of where we get like a lot of like cool neurodivergent people because they are very focused. We always talk about, we're like, oh, everybody here is on the spectrum of something,
Right?
But yeah, and but PLF, I would say definitely, like we focus a lot on safety, education, and making sure that we're creating a platform for people to be heard and seen. So like the Gallery 5 First Fridays and Octoberween, Decemberween, and then also at Burns, like we always just are looking at a way to how we can be better, at providing things for people. And again, mostly a lot of people who we feel like don't get seen enough or have enough exposure. Like something that I personally have been focusing on, and I don't know if y'all have heard or seen, is there's like a thing called Manchester Manifest.
I haven't heard of that.
Yeah, it takes place every first Friday. It's for the past 6 years, and PLF's been involved in it. And like one of our friends, Parker, who does the Gallery 5 stuff, he's really, really well involved in the community. Was helping
Careful
out.
with your mic.
Yeah. Cool. We good? Yeah. So Parker was helping out, doing a mural project with Manchester Manifest and a lot of their crew, and so whenever he was helping out with them, and he kind of called me up and was like, "Hey, Bohman, can you come and help bring some tools and stuff?" And I went out there, and they had like a sound system, just like two tops, and Parker was like, "Hey, do you think PLF could bring some of their sound system out to one of the parties?" And I was like, "Yeah, sure," and started seeing what they're really about, which is everything that we're about as well. And they were like, "Hey, do you want to be a part of this and start bringing your sound system?" And I was like, "Honestly, we built the sound system for people to be heard and to create a platform." And they make a big impact. They shut down Hall Street every first Friday.
Okay, I was gonna ask where this is because my dad lives in Manchester.
Cool. Yeah. So every first Friday they shut down Hall Street, which is loud. That's that's disturbing. A big artery into Richmond, right? Yeah, like I said, they used to have just like two tops, distorted sound system, and now we've been providing our sound system, and as you probably have witnessed, they're definitely now being heard.
Didn't First Friday used to be in Broad Street?
So I'm not as familiar as most, but the First
Yes.
Friday RVA, I guess it was. The
It
Arts
is still
District.
there, yeah. It's still there. He's talking about like a different First Friday.
Yeah.
This is First Friday for doing like PLF in the Manchester movement, right?
Yeah. So like this
Or
past
Manifest,
one,
sorry.
I probably didn't see you at it because I was doing the sound and everything at Manchester, but like during the day I helped set up the one in my Gallery 5. But then I believe in July we're gonna do like a PLF takeover in Manchester, where we're gonna have the fire spinners, and we've done a few times where we've had the fire spinners out at Manchester one. But yeah, again, like I said, as far as like PLF and what we are, like we're just building our community by integrating with other communities, creating that platform so that they can be heard, and then also again for expression, because we've had like dancers, poets, like
Yeah, belly dancers. Gretchen, it'd be up Gretchen's alley. Gretchen is Lee's wife. She's a
Oh, okay.
retired belly dancer. I don't know if she still does it.
No, not right now, but yeah. But now that COVID's over,
Yeah.
yeah.
That'd be so fun though. We should go do some like interviews
Yeah, that'd be
In
fun
July
to take
at
the
the big
recorder
thing,
to,
yeah.
yeah.
at the big event,
Yeah,
at the big show.
yeah, I've always thought it'd be really cool to have like, and they would be open. If not, they have like probably have a platform to where like you could do a thing where it's like you do an interview, where you just have people kind of come in and be like, hey, you want to come?
That'd be
be
Oh,
on
like a
Awesome.
booth. Like, do you
Oh,
want to be?
yeah.
Yeah.
You could
Come
just-
talk to us.
Exactly, because there's so many vendors. I'll send you all a video, and I mean it as it builds into the year. Like by June, July, there's hundreds, close to 1,000 people just flooding that street.
Well, we'll
and-
definitely promote it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. I was going to say, I had a really good experience at December Ween.
Oh, cool.
This girl dressed up as a cow. I was dancing and she's like, I want you to come up here. I'm like, no. She's like, come here. And she made me get up on one of the speakers and dance. And I just felt so included because there's a
So
lot of
awesome.
times when I feel like people judge me because I don't look weird. I look pretty basic.
Oh,
But I don't know. She was so accepting. She made me feel good.
Yeah.
I don't know who it was, but shout out to the cow
yeah.
at the 2019 December Ween.
Oh, that was a good one. That was a really, really.
It was
good
before COVID hit.
That was it was we were like, oh man, it's about to pop.
Yeah.
Like, and they were like, oh, that happened, but that was.
I know,
that was a
for
good
real.
one.
Womp womp.
Yeah, and you had the fire effects right
Wait,
by
wait,
your
wait.
face and stuff.
Wait, is this the one? Hold on.
Yeah, COVID, womp womp.
Bill.
But that's awesome, and that's the thing. A lot of people like, I'm sure. If you haven't seen, you should definitely check out like our Instagram and YouTube. Like we have a whole thing about all those speakers that we built from scratch. Cut every single one of them with Justin
That's so
Zamorsky.
cool.
How the heck do you guys know how to do that?
So there's like blueprints online, and I actually went to used to party with the guy who's like Hennessy Sound System, which is like one of the biggest sound system manufacturers now. But I used to party with him and stuff like that. And you just get blueprints, and you're like, oh, I want to make it bigger than this, and just the ratio and some math.
One of my coworkers is in PLF. I had no idea. I work at a corporate place. Moan.
Okay.
He does slingshots.
Yep. He's amazing.
Love that guy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I think when COVID hit, I think he might have lost his job because like he did hospitality. So I don't know. I don't
Seems to
know.
be doing really well with the
Yeah.
slingshots. So
I know. Nice guy.
yeah, very awesome.
Okay, so like I said, one of my good friends, Petra, she went to Transformus. Can you tell us a little bit about what Transformus is like? I've heard some crazy stuff, but out of respect, I won't say anything because it's like part of the festival. Good crazy stuff.
Oh,
Stuff that I want to be a part of.
I know exactly what you're talking about. You're talking about the miming.
No.
Okay. Do you know about the miming?
No, I did
I'll
not
tell
hear
you
about
off
that.
the thing, but yeah.
Might be, I don't know.
Anybody who's listening right now, yeah.
Keep it PG.
I'm
for the parents.
intrigued.
Yeah. If anybody,
You
yeah,
guys
I'll
would
say
love
it.
it.
Anybody who's listening has been to Transformus and is hearing the word miming, they're like, oh, that.
Lee would love it.
Yeah.
I want to be a man.
So yeah, Transformus originally was in Asheville, North Carolina, at Deerfields, and it got too big for the land, so they moved it to Marvin's Mountaintop, where All Good Festival used to happen, and now it's kind of like Wild West because it's too big for us. And again, it's a burn. It is awesome. Like a lot of people who were about to go to Burning Man, had never been to a burn, went out to Transformers, and were like, okay, cool, I get it now. Like, I understand, like, I need to bring a lot of my own stuff. There's not like a food vendor. I have to bring my own food. I have to prepare my own meals.
work.
Yeah, for sure. But there's also like, oh, well, there's this camp that has glizzies 24 hours. Awesome. There's another camp that's got coffee, Cool.
What's
I'm
Glizzies?
hot dogs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I love hot dogs.
Hot dogs.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, there's just there's a balance of it to where like there are people who come out there and like what impact, and the coffee people, they're like, I remember I came out to a burn and there was this person and they had a cart and they had coffee and I was like, I want to be that person. So now I'm here. And again, it's just that radical self-expression and how you do that and so forth. But yeah, so like I said, Transformus is pretty much like a smaller burn to kind of, but it's our regional one. So there's always like, like good 1,000 or so people. And yeah, it's cool watching it grow. There's Ignite, which is a big one that I'm excited about. It happens outside of Danville. It's all ages.
I've heard of that one.
Yeah, so that's the next one that PLF's really excited for. We've got multiple people in our camps who've gotten art grants. One's to build like a kind of like sex cage, and then and then Kristen, like she does our fire. She's building a gigantic geodesic dome that you'll start seeing now at PLF events.
So cool.
Yeah, there's all sorts.
When is this?
It's Memorial Day weekend.
Oh, okay.
I'll be gone.
Yeah.
I'll be gone.
Yeah. There you go. The good kind.
As will I.
Okay, so when you sent me your bio when I asked you to be on the podcast, you told me that PLF offered you a job. Is it full time? I know you mentioned no money's involved. How does that work?
So it was actually, I just had one person who was part of PLF, and he was like, "Hey, I'm a manager at Guitar Center. We're opening up a new store." So as far as a job, it wasn't like a PLF job, but he offered me a job to kind of get myself integrated. But it worked out because I actually utilized all that knowledge that I got from learning how to like operate more music equipment and stuff to better understanding how to like get to the position to where now I can operate the PLF sound system. Because like the person who originally built the sound system is Mr. Jennings, and he was like, "Hey, I'm a musician. I have potential to be famous, and I want to like pursue that, but I don't want to let go of this really awesome community." And then him and that person Jordan were on the board at that time, and we're like, "Do you want to do this?" And I was like, "Whoa, like that sounds really awesome right now, but that sounds like a lot, So yeah, and he also was at that Guitar Center and everything. But yeah, so PLF's as far as like work and stuff like that, we've done like people making money. I think it's one of the great things about with PLF is that like we have the insurance, so we do like fire gigs. We have a thing coming up called with Lewis Ginter and Gallery 5.
Oh, I saw that one. We got to go to that.
Oh, when's that?
In Kanto, that's one of the things to where like we tell people, hey, if you want us to bring sound system, fire spinners, pyrotechnics, VJ, the stage installation, art installation, then we need a budget. So it's awesome because then now we're able to like pay people to do that for $20 an hour, setting up and breaking down. Fire spinners get their rates, DJs get their rates,
wow,
and like
cool.
so yeah. Now as we just keep on getting bigger, we've done Floyd Fest.
I love Floyd Fest. I was gonna bring it up when you were talking about Transformers because Floyd Fest is like, it's a little bit like a burn, kind of.
Yeah, it does have some burn. Like,
Are they doing it this year though? I heard
No,
they
it got
they're not.
canceled.
Yeah,
Yeah, because
they
we were gonna
moved their
volunteer.
space.
Yeah. So what was cool is like I like myself, and again, there's not a lot of people building fire sculptures. So that was kind of one of the things was they're like, dude, if you come up here, we've got so many gigs for you. So that was what was cool is I myself now had a platform as an artist and was like, oh, cool. And that was actually one of the first things when they asked me, like, you want to be on the board? Is like, can I still build art? And they're like, yeah, I mean, you're going to be on the board. And if anything, you should express that so that people
Even
who are on the
more.
board can do it. Because actually there was like people were like, I don't think that, you should be voting for yourself to get art. We're like, oh, okay, cool. We don't really see those people anymore. But, again, we're open to hearing criticism. And then I was like, no, I think that's messed up.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Sweet.
Okay, hold on a minute. Okay, this one's a cool question too. So when you sent me your bio, you told me that PLF had a art car named Divina. I want to know how the hell you got it from RVA to Burning Man.
Yeah, so that's our friend Christian Breeden and he's in Charlottesville. His dad, from my understanding, is an international artist as well. So he had the huge
wow.
area. And I actually wasn't around for this part of PLF's, doing its thing. But he just, Christian started just inviting PLFers and be like, hey, we're having a work day. And would teach people how to use like plasma welders and stuff. And everybody had a scale on the Dragon and stuff. And
so much talent involved.
yeah,
many
so
skills.
there are lots of people who have money at Burning Man. And this is kind of like wrecked me when I went in 2017 because I
I'm
was all
picturing
like,
Susan Sarandon because I saw a photo shoot she did and she was at Burning Man and it was
Yeah.
like these crazy, Alexander McQueen outfits that she was
Yeah.
wearing at Burning Man. I'm like, that looks hot.
yeah. So there is like a culture of rich people and they have like a word for that culture, and they've kind of dimmed it back. But from my understanding is that there was somebody who had a lot of money from a different country, and they're like, I will pay you to bring that out, but I want you on this day and this time to drive me around. And he was like, okay, cool. You give me money and you give me a place to sleep with a crew. And they did that for a few years. And actually, I'm thankful that I didn't go because apparently it was kind of horrible. And like you have some person from another country yelling at you and treating you like you're not worth something because you aren't doing this. Or they're like, yeah. So the year I went, it was not like that. And actually, it was the year that he was like, I want to get that back. But they have like a train system, and they have them in D.C. They have all these spots in like Philly. I think Richmond was one last year where they're like, hey, if anybody wants to put their stuff on this train, it's X amount of money. And everybody puts their money together and they put their stuff on this train and they ship it out.
Oh, wow.
What?
But luckily, we have a friend. His
That's
name's
fascinating to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah.
Oh, a train to Burning Man? Can you get on it?
No, only your equipment. So yeah, it was pretty cool. Like
It's like the Polar Express for adults.
yeah. So all these people were like
Their toys.
hauling all this stuff out, but his dragon got stuck at a barn because he couldn't figure out how to get it back. And then we did a fundraising. I don't know if you saw like through Gallery 5, PLF, and just all sorts of grants. And I think even a burn gave some money to be like, we want to bring Davina back here to bring her to transform
Bring her
us.
back.
Yeah, and then we eventually got her back here, and wow, it was huge pain. I wasn't a part of that part, but hearing about all the tires they lost, trying to like get it back, and
You know, Victoria, I've seen a picture of her with Davina. I know I've seen that. I'm friends with
Nice.
Victoria on Facebook.
cool. Yeah. So yeah, Floyd Fest booked Davina. All these festivals
No
have.
way.
Yeah.
What
yeah.
year?
I want to say that was 2013.
I wasn't there.
Yeah, yeah.
Wow, PLF's been around for a while.
You were
then.
5 in 2019.
No, I was.
Yeah, it's
I was
really,
in
really,
college.
it's really, really wild to, like I said, I even look at it back and, you know, people are like, oh, they've been around for, 12, 13, blah, blah, blah years. And I'm like, yeah, I was only around whenever I started getting around, they'd been around for like 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
So, and I was like, there's no way I could have been there. Really, when I was young, that would have been like, what's the minor doing here,
So do you go to Burning Man like every year, or have you been for the past like since you mentioned 2017 or like?
No, it's too expensive.
Yeah, okay.
I even was like, I'm going this year. I'm gonna try to go as a ranger this year. So I
What's
have
a ranger?
a ranger is they don't like to say that's like the police of a burn. But it's definitely not. They are like the mediators of a burn.
Okay.
They have a really amazing system to where like they have tiers of people who are more qualified to do certain things. And I feel like they need to integrate this rangering system into actual society to where they're like, hey, this person's tripping out. There's
Yeah.
this woman here and she has
That's
this
what I
going
was
on.
wondering about. Like, is there a lot of like Narcan readily available?
like, I know
Twitter,
maps.
What you know, like
Boom.
Yeah, maps.
They have, like, a
I
booth
get a
that
newsletter.
Okay.
Just it maps. It stands for.
Medicinal Advancement in Psychedelic Studies.
Yeah, they have like tents where you can go and relax, and they just help bring you
And they
back.
educate you, so they educate you at the MAPS tent, but we actually have Sanctuary, which we actually have at our events too, the bigger ones, where if you are in a mental state that needs to be taken care of properly, you have a space where you can go to Sanctuary, which I volunteered for Sanctuary and I've had the most amazing conversations and relationships and developed from there.
Right.
From like, wow, you're in trouble, and I love helping people, and I'm here to blah blah blah.
Something horrible, not drug related, but something horrible happened to me at Floyd Fest. I don't want to go into it, but I went to the Sanctuary, but it was a prayer tent just because something just needed to go.
Yeah.
Was all alone.
Yeah.
So thank God.
Yeah.
Festivals really need that kind of stuff.
Yeah, so like at December Ween, we have a spot which probably nobody went to, which is good because it's like, a spot
Yeah.
to where, and we have like socks, like fresh socks, again, Narcan, people who are trained to help. And I just can't tell you how many times we've had people who just go a little overboard, and they just need somebody. We're very conscious of like bias and stuff. Like Ranger Jim is an older, like cis-appearing, dude. So if we have like a younger, smaller woman, then we have some women. we have different people with backgrounds, like Jewish. Another thing, it's like a black woman. She's going through something. Want to try to avoid microaggressions or creating a bad. Having somebody say something to them.
That headspace, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So it's interesting to see that. We work with Conduct Committee Institution, CCI, and they are all trained. And actually, from my understanding, 2 years ago, we were going to be their international hub for them to train people since it's such a big event. But yeah, just trying to create safer spaces because I don't think there's such thing as a safe space,
Why can't real life be like this? Like the normal, day to day. Normal society.
I know I need a safe space at my office, but I digress.
Yeah.
I just wish that society would adopt these principles.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so how many times have you been to Burning Man?
Twice.
And did you DJ there?
Yeah. Actually,
Wow.
this past year I didn't. My partner, she was a part of the exothermia, and in my head I was like the type of person that if I have something I need to do.
Wait, what's exothermia?
Exothermia is a Richmond fire troop. It's the first and only fire troop. It's a pretty big deal. And yeah, they practice every week for months. They've performed at Manchester Manifest, First Friday. It's really awesome. So they had like a 16-minute thing. I produced the music for that one. And then then when we did the fire circle, I was the person doing the drumming with a few other people.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, so the first year I went, I was very much like, I'm DJing. I'm the pyrotechnician. And it was cool because I was doing the music for Davina. We set up speakers and everything on Davina, so when we're driving around, we had DJs and stuff. And of course, people would be like, hey, if you want to let me DJ on Davina, I'll let you come DJ at my camp. So it's kind of like back and forth. And
Bartering.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Bartering, gifting, trading, and so
Yeah.
forth.
I love it.
But yeah, this past year I was like, I'm going to focus on making sure my partner has a good time. She'd never been before. So yeah, this past time, there was definitely a few times I was like, oh, I really want to, I had my phone drive, but I was like, no, I'm focusing on my partner. I want this to be very much about them,
Right.
which I'd been to Burning Man in 2017 around a lot of couples. I was taking notes. I was like, this is why they're fighting. This is why they're fighting. I'm not going to be that
awesome
guy.
of you.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's
God.
really important that if you go, because I mean, there's like orgy domes. I mean, this past year there was some like OnlyFans content being created and stuff like
Oh.
that. And, it's just like if
It
you're
has
not,
everything.
it is everything. There is everything. There. If you can think about it, it's happening somewhere. But yeah, and there's like a whole book, blog, websites about if you're going with your partner, read this. And that was one of the ones in my head that I was like, if I find something else to focus on, I'm going to put myself in a weird position because you're day 10, it's bad. You're yelling at each other or,
I can definitely see
you're
that.
going to have an emotional breakdown. You're going to go to the temple. You're going to cry, If you have jealousy issues, that's going to come up in the tiniest
But I feel like
little way.
that's the burn experience.
Oh,
like
Lord.
what you're meant to experience, it happens. Like
Yeah.
this story, because at Floyd Fest, both times I went, it always happens when you go to an experience like that. Like there's like a journey you take, and it's weird, but I guess it's just the universe
Yeah.
when the energy's all there. Everyone's cultivating this.
Absolutely. I hear that all the time where they're like, it's just, when things are chilling out, they're like, it's okay. You understand that there's just a lot of energy here. And then some people are like, wow, yeah, you're right. And I just feel like I need to be blah, blah, or, something. And it's like, just take a deep breath and then be present. And again, there's spaces for that. And the temple is I remember the first time, and I don't know how familiar you are at the temple, but on Sunday, it's the Saturday's the effigy, Sunday's the temple, and Sunday temple, you bring something to that's, that you want to release and give away and not be a part of to the temple. It's a very emotional place. I remember everybody was like, y'all ready to cry today? And I was like, oh, and I was still working on
Sometimes you need it, Grant.
yeah, and being a male, crying was always a bad thing, And I remember 2017 was the year, and I was like, oh my gosh, all my friends are crying, and nobody's embarrassed, and they were hugging, and I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna start crying,
awesome.
And it was great. It was one of the most beautiful
I
moments.
could cry right now.
Yeah, for sure. I was like, oh my God, yeah, and so the temple was going down, and like I said, it's just kind of created this space for you to work with things, deal with loss. You just saw these beautiful things, and I was dealing with my own loss with my partner at that time's dog and stuff, and it was just gorgeous. I had the most amazing experience and growth just from that, moment.
A lot of people meet their spouses at Burning Man. Like I
Yeah.
follow this guy. I don't know. You probably know him. Maybe you've even run into him at Burning Man. Aubrey Marcus.
Yeah.
He was. I know like he had a lot of content on YouTube about polygamy.
Yeah.
But he's moved away from polygamy and he found his partner. I can't remember her name. Violana.
Mm.
But I love listening to his podcast. He's actually a big inspiration of starting this for me.
So cool.
Yeah. Big Burning Man goer. Okay, we're finishing up some of these serious questions.
Yes. Well, let's go into the final
All right.
throes of the serious questions. Where can we follow you, sir?
So you can follow me personally. I have my DjGON official Instagram, and then I have a DjGON Facebook. And then Facebook's weird and has made me like a content creator. So like now my Nyan DJGON Bohman is like, I don't know, it's a content thing. Like people can't friend request me anymore.
We just have to follow you.
You have to follow me, yeah.
You're a celebrity.
Yeah.
You're the check mark.
Wow, I
on
made
Twitter.
the cut though. I'm
Right?
your friend.
Yeah. It is super weird. I have people that are, same thing. They're like,
Maybe
"Oh
you
my
have too
God."
many friends now.
Something like that. Who knows? But yeah, you can follow me there, and then I'm pretty like SoundCloud's unfortunate to where you kind of have to pay to keep your account active.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Oh,
Otherwise, they take like all your music except for like 2 hours worth of content.
Oh.
creators.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but I am on pretty steadily on SoundCloud. I've got a good following, I would say there. So you can find DjGON on SoundCloud. That's a good place to find my music. And like I kind of was noting too, I've been getting more into production, and it's just such a weird spot. Like, how do you separate yourself
Right.
from one thing or another? Because like I build sculptures, and I was like, should I go by a different name when I have my sculptures? And everybody's like, no, keep it all together. I've had a lot of like content people.
So much.
Yeah, they're like,
good.
keep it all in one spot. And I've tried to branch out and be like, okay, when I produce my music that's not DjGON stuff, it's Bohman. And that's just Bohman, drum and bass purely. And it's like weird because it's like I have like a few hundred followers on there. And then on my SoundCloud, it's like, people are like, dude, you could be doing big things with the amount of followers you have here. And
Thank
then,
God for Linktree too. I mean, shout out to them.
Yeah,
Putting
yeah.
it all together because I have the same problem sometimes. Like I do graphic design on the side. I'm a web designer.
Okay.
I sing. I do
Cool.
a podcast. There's a lot
Nice.
of things going on, and then we have a billion links for the podcast.
I know.
Yeah, I heard here in the miscellaneous one, I kind of heard you singing, but jokefully. And I was like, I wonder if they realized that they were actually a good
We
singer.
were in a band together.
You
Okay.
are, yeah.
He's a really good singer.
Oh,
Yeah.
as
But yeah,
are
so how do you like differentiate? Because like, what if this podcast gets huge? Like, how can you incorporate your art into it outside of the graphic designing, which I thought
Wow.
was super cool? Like, are you gonna sing like the theme song? Like, you're all gonna have a theme
I
song?
know,
in the
right?
Well, we
future?
kind of do.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding.
But yeah, like how like, you could branch off it. So then do you have a group called Lala, and then people are like, well, if Lala is going to be performing at Floyd Fest, are they also going to be doing podcasts?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, we could, baby.
yeah, so that's just the thing,
And then
right?
he's an incredible musician.
Yeah.
He's like a man of all trades.
Yeah,
this
yeah.
Lee character.
A renaissance man.
I had to stay busy, kept me out of trouble.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's like
And,
me going back to college like 50 times.
So we will link you can find DjGON and Bohman and Nyan and Ryan. We'll link everything up like in the bio section of this episode. So
Oh,
it'll all
thank
be
you.
there. We're gonna promote you, baby.
Appreciate it.
And I would just like to say, actually, on a serious note, before we move on, because we did mention like the Narcan and all that stuff. My cousin died of a drug overdose last week. So if you are struggling with addiction, please reach out to somebody. We're all here to help you, and we will put some links up for that as well.
Yeah, and I'm also very open, in the future we can talk about doing like a fundraiser, allocating some funds from a door to
That would be
whichever.
amazing.
Yeah, we've done like a lot of harm reduction donations for some of those like warehouse parties that you are talking about. We try to put information there, and obviously like we have people who are in positions to where like they have Narcan, administer it. We've done CPR We're looking into doing CPR classes, and then just trying to provide as much education and opportunity for people to be educated on how to do that. So
I love
That's
that.
awesome.
You never know what someone's struggling with. So
absolutely, totally.
I feel weird asking. After that, I feel weird asking. I
Sorry.
have one more question about PLF. Why so many cats?
Oh man, yeah. I
let's
mean,
lighten the mood.
why not? You know. That's what I always tell people. I'm like, what other animal? Like cats are just amazing, you know.
I know.
Yeah. I think it had started with the cat altar, but then I also don't know because like I remember seeing the PLF cat altar and it was kind of small, and I was like, I'm gonna get some cats to start putting on it. And then my mom, who runs a cat adoption thing, was like, oh, I love these cats thing that you're getting. And then she started getting cats, and now she has an altar at her house for cats.
I worship my cat.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of one of those things where it's like, yo, like again, we're trying to be like a community and like, bring the weird people, and I think cat people are just weird naturally.
And they're about cats are all about consent.
Oh yes, and consent's huge, right? And that's
Yeah.
awesome. Like the consent cat has been like kind of a PLF thing. I don't know if you see our signage a lot. It's like, and then we have the T-shirts like, ask first and liberate the pussy and stuff like that. And
Yeah, and when you enter any PLF event, they always have like that sign where it's like the consent rules or like principles.
yeah,
I would say rules though for that.
yeah, absolutely. Those
Oh,
are
yeah.
rules, and they're very strict. We've been trying to integrate more, like better from a zero tolerance policy to more of an education. Like, hey, if you did something wrong, which it's just naturally a lot of dudes are put in this position to where like they do something or they want to hug, and we're like, that's consent too. Like
Yeah.
hugging, especially we're in a pandemic. Like you can't just hug anybody.
Right.
And yeah, just trying to make sure that we're creating safer spaces because it's patriarchy's real. And there are
know
lots
that.
of Yep, obviously I'm not. Like y'all
Preaching
know.
the choir, baby.
Yeah, and we keep on running into these situations to where like we do incorporate more women. A lot of fire spinners are very femme, but then we have the sound side, and then it's a bunch of dudes, and I'm constantly in this position to where I'm like, hey, we got a bunch of dudes here. Like, what can we do, or how can we be better? Or if there's a situation where we, make a woman feel uncomfortable, making sure that we're providing a platform for them to be like, hey, that made me feel uncomfortable. Or, I didn't like how the way you talked to me. And it's been amazing because then whenever you see that support group, like we were doing a big event in Norfolk, and one of the guys he wasn't being misogynistic on purpose. His intentions weren't to, but his actions was presenting a form of misogyny, just the way he was talking. And the person, very femme presenting was like, hey, that felt like this. And he's like, you know what? After I said it, I realized it and I didn't know how to say anything. So I'm glad you've came to me to talk to me about it because I want to apologize. And
I
it's just
love
like
that.
that. We
Oh
were
my
all
God.
like,
Warms my
oh,
heart.
we were just like, that was so beautiful. This guy
That's
isn't even.
community.
Yeah.
Well, because the thing is, what you're saying, education. I hate where it's like just these rules and there's no like follow up because
Exactly.
no one will ever learn. And you could have been so like indoctrinated with like the patriarchy or whatever,
Yeah.
whatever you're representing at the time that you don't realize what you're saying or doing.
Yeah, so we're
And
trying to
so, yeah.
create like more of like we've even talked with CCI about having another waiver. We have the waiver that says, hey, I understand that I can get blown up. I could die at this
Yeah.
event, and I'm not going to sue PLF. If my mom finds out that I was here, she's not going to sue me or sue y'all because I just happen to be here.
To
My
call
face
my
could
mom.
burn off
Yeah.
at this
And I
event,
have
but
had
it's
people
fine.
like at the gate, like, "Hey, mom, I'm just letting you know I'm going into this PLF event. They're making me sign a
Goodbye
waiver saying
forever."
that you can't sue them if I do something stupid tonight." And-
TTFN.
yeah, and so we've talked about having a second waiver that people sign that says, "Hey, I understand that I'm coming into an event that practices consent. It's the law of the land. I understand I can be removed. I understand there's also education. I can call this number, which anytime I've kicked somebody out, I'm always like, hey, I understand you're intoxicated and maybe this is rough for you. You're not being banned unless they are being banned.
Yeah, yeah.
But, like, please go home. Call me when you get home if you want and let me know you got home okay, Uber, whatever. And, yeah, I want to follow up. And they never do. But I would love to have – we've talked about having that as a waiver and a thing. It's like, hey, you understand that, this is what you signed up for and that you understand you can be removed if you make somebody feel uncomfortable.
And then there's also like a train, like a line of where that person was too, just in case something bad were to happen to them. I mean, I just think about all these stories you hear about, like with, sorry, more women than men, like and like, oh well, she was just on drugs, blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah.
But no, like, she could have gotten kicked out of somewhere, and when she walked out,
Yeah.
she got grabbed by someone, or the Uber driver assaulted her. But she was asking for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
horrible. Totally.
or
Yeah.
he, either way.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and people's identities change too.
They,
you
yeah,
know?
like whatever you
Yeah.
are. I mean, I'm a billion people a day, so
Yeah, just being able to create an environment like it's been proven by creating that environment where you're like, oh wow, or maximum bounce. We had a situation come up and we had about 7 masked people around another bro, and we're like, hey, we're all holding you accountable, and everything changed about this person. They're like, yo, I'm just gonna stand over here. I just want to enjoy the event, and that's it. We're like, that's all we wanted you to do in the first place, buddy. Hung out for like 30 minutes and left.
I always feel really safe at PLF events.
That makes me feel great. to hear.
Really
That's
do.
my goal. Like as a admin, I'm like now technically like the president of the nonprofit and stuff, and it's super important. People are constantly, specifically my friends that come out of town. They're like, I noticed that you put a lot of work into trying to do this, and appreciate
It's
it.
not only like the physical safety, but it's like the inclusivity, like being able to just be me, like any way I want to.
without judgment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People, like I can dance. Literally the whole time I went to Decemberween, I danced by myself for 2.5 hours. And
That's
I had
great.
a blast.
That's so cool to
I
hear.
love a static dance.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah,
And the
we're
calorie bin.
trying to do the no photography ones. We have had that in the past, and we're trying to get back into that. So it's like, hey, like, if you want to undress yourself, or if you want to look weird while you're dancing, you shouldn't be worried that, oh, somebody might be taking a picture of me right now.
But I do love David. David
yeah,
Moore.
David.
Or I shouldn't have said the last name, but
Yeah.
well, he made.
Well, there's
he-
2 Daves
yeah.
now, Dave P and Dave M.
Yeah.
So it's always fun. We got the Daves.
But actually, shout out to David Morton because we're gonna promote him on this pod.
Yeah.
He's-
And
We love him. We
Dave
already
Parrish
love him.
is
He took
another
our
one.
band when we were in a band. He took our band photos.
I don't doubt that at all. That is awesome.
And they were amazing.
Oh, we have to start. We have to start wrapping this up. Let's do a few fun questions, and then we'll go into.
Yes. Well, I have to start with, of course, my favorite question every time. What's your favorite swear word?
Definitely fuck. I heard miscellaneous was shit, and I was like, yeah, I'm like almost there with the oh shit, what up, and like just oh shit, but I just love the word fuck. I love how it can be used.
It has a
In
lot
any
of different
way.
meanings.
It's multi-dimensional.
I just got those oh god, what is it called? It's got the cat flicking you off clothes. Something I can't.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
I know what you're talking
I
about.
just got some shorts and they say fuck you, fuck you, fuck you all across them, and my partner was like, we're gonna go out and dinner in those, and I was like, yes.
I support it. I
Like, if
support
somebody
it.
has anything to say to me, I'm just gonna tell them fuck you.
We need to go to dinner together.
Yeah.
With you wearing this.
Let's have a fuck you theme dinner.
Yeah, and I love that. And I was younger too. Like a lot of my friends and I, whenever we would be getting like fucked up and stuff, they'd be like, the "I love you, man," and all that stuff like that. And I'm like, that's awesome. But I think we also need to make you a little harder. And next time we're in this like kind of schmoozhy mood, I'm gonna tell you fuck you, and I need you to like not be offended. We're gonna harden you, but we're also softening you. And
Yeah.
so we had this thing where when we'd be like, we were hanging out, we'd be like, man, fuck you. And they'd be like, thanks, man. Thanks. Like, I know what that means
I
now.
feel the love
And
now.
then so whenever we'd be in a situation where some like asshole would be like, man, fuck you. We'd be like, yeah, thanks, man. And then just catch them off guard. You'd be like, oh, no. I wasn't trying to compliment. Like, no. Well, what are we? This is a joke, man. Like,
Yeah, right.
And it always softens the mood. That's mine. What's yours, though? I damn curious. What's y'all's?
Oh, well, I've said this. It's like a rant.
Okay.
Like, God
my
damn it, fuck
God.
me up the ass.
Oh,
kinda.
nice. Okay.
Oh, fuck, of course.
Okay.
Shit.
Okay. You're on the shit.
Or
Cool.
suck my fucking dick, which,
Ooh, that one's really good.
and I'm like, it's
Elizabeth?
fucking big. Too. I
Elizabeth.
hope you choke on that shit.
Yeah. I saw like one of my friends posted a like kind of like a trans meme, and it was like It was at a urinal. It was like, I am 105% femme, and the 5% is my dick. And I was
Yeah, baby.
wow.
That's a good one.
Hey, I do take joy at pissing at urinals, by the way.
Yeah, have you seen the
I
Sheeries?
did it when I was little.
Yeah,
Cool.
but when I was in Costa Rica this summer, my other friend dared me. She was like, "Come on, just go in there." And I'm like, "I have no shame. I don't give a shit. You can watch me pee.
Yeah.
I don't care. I have to pee. I'm gonna pee wherever
Yeah.
the pee hits."
I have a funny story. When I was little, camping with my dad, because my dad was a single dad. My mom and dad got divorced, split time. Love both of them. But anyway, we went camping, and the women's restroom had a urinal, and I had never seen one before. I was a little girl, and I'm like, whoa!
Yeah.
And so I just hop on and pee in it.
Oh my gosh.
And this woman walks in. She's like gives me this look, and I'm like.
Side
And then
eye.
I go out the door and I'm like, Daddy, Daddy, there was a really cool toilet in there. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, I was describing it. He's like, that's a urinal. That's where men go.
Oh my gosh.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I love that's like my favorite insult though is whenever a woman's like, suck my dick, and you're just like, all right, yeah, I get that.
Are we done with?
Oh, well, we can do a few more
We are.
funny
We
ones.
are an hour in. Just warning everyone.
Oh.
Are we
Well,
okay?
I
Lee?
wanna ask
Can we-
this one.
Can we do a little more? It's up to you. You're the tech guy.
But you're the hostesses, so
What do you prefer? Can we keep going?
sure.
We'll go.
Give us
what?
3 questions.
Yeah. I've been wanting to ask this one.
All right.
What is your favorite smell and what memory does it invoke?
Shit. Just kidding.
A urinal cake.
Yeah, right. That's a good one. I was listening to your podcast and trying to like get an idea of like what should I be prepared for, and that's definitely wasn't one that I was prepared for.
Gotta keep you on your toes.
It's actually interesting. I found out that I like the smell of plum and apricot.
Aw.
Ooh,
That's the smell of
intriguing.
that's the smell of Capri Sun.
Ooh, I
Oh.
love a Capri Sun.
I didn't realize that was the smell
That's a
of
good one.
Capri Sun, and I smelled plum and apricot together and was like, "What is that?" And it took me like a year or so, and I was like, "Capri Sun!" And it just hit. And then I thought about a plum and apricot tree that I had, and my dad, like by my dad's pool, whenever
Aw,
I was like living in Louisiana, and just it does all the nostalgia for me.
I love the smell nostalgia.
Me
Yeah,
too.
That's a good one.
My grandma was a hairdresser growing up. She had her own beauty shop in her house, and I spent so much time with her. Literally, like half my life with my grandma. And she would wash my hair in the shampoo sink with this like cherry scented shampoo.
Ah.
And I forgot about the smell. And the other day, I like washed my hands with cherry soap, and I'm like, Grandma. Pretty
Aw.
name, but-
Yeah, grandma smells are awesome.
The smell of those non-toxic crayons, the big 8
Oh,
crayons. that you
yes.
get. If I smell those, my mind goes back to my first day of kindergarten. It's as
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's
Aw.
awesome.
alive as any memory.
Brain
in my
is
mind.
fascinating.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I guess I remember my grandpa, he smelled like old sweaters, lima beans a little bit,
Ah.
and he was very fastidious about his teeth. So he smelled like
Mint.
mint and
Balls.
mothball. Yeah, basically all your old.
Yeah.
God, this isn't very unique. It was old man smell, basically. But it was his smell. I loved it. It's
Yeah.
weird how people have their smells.
Oh, totally.
Yeah, like I remember at work one time, I had just started working at this place, and I became like really good friends with this person, and she's like, "I could smell you. I knew you were here," and I'm like, "What do I smell like?"
Yeah.
Yeah. Everyone has their own unique scent, their essence,
Yeah.
if you will. Okay, it's my favorite part of the show.
Yes.
Give it to us, Lee.
Yeah, baby.
Good, because today I'm going to give it to you twice.
Oh yeah.
Ooh, twice as nice.
The theme today is Burning Man, so I found out that there are burning festivals all over the country, but they sometimes take on different themes. In Wisconsin, they have a burning cheese festival, and it's like, and there's
How fitting.
there's another one that they have a burning cow event.
Yeah.
Ooh, is it alive?
I found out that Ignite, which is one of the Virginia
Yeah.
burning festivals, was the first burn sanctioned by the Burning Man organization, which
Yeah.
runs the one in Nevada. So that was kind of interesting. The second one, I collected some of the funniest names of Burning Man events. Now, Burning Man is you can confirm this, right? There's no bartering, there's no money. Everything is a gift.
Yeah.
Everything is free. So here's the name of some of the events:
Oh gosh.
tea and porn, spankings and cookies,
My favorite.
angels, aliens, and outlaws,
Yeah, baby.
hip hop water gun fight,
That's you.
Was Diddy there?
porn origami,
Out of porn.
bad advice booth. I should run that.
Yeah. That was really good.
The Magic Pancake Project.
Oh, that sounds lovely.
Ask a Buddhist. The Human Powered Obstacle Course. The Hot Sex Fire Jam. I think you mentioned that. Did you mention that? It's like the biochemistry of psychedelics.
Yeah.
And my favorite, Sketchy the Clown's drinking contest.
Oh my gosh.
I want to participate in that
You know
one.
what's funny? When I went to Floyd Fest, there was this one, I don't not a vendor, but just person, a booth. And she was the booth fairy. And I follow her on Instagram, but she like spreads just positivity. She like makes people get up on a pedestal and she'll be like, give them compliments and make people give them compliments. Like, compliment them. It's so cute. You should follow. I'll link that up too.
Yes.
The booth fairy.
Yeah.
She goes to all sorts of festivals. I'm sure she's been to Burning Man.
Right.
She's
You
awesome.
should check out Barbie Death Camp. That's an-
Barbie Death Camp.
Barbie Death
What's
Camp.
that one?
It's really awesome. It's a bunch of like Barbies made into a camp, and they're all like burnt and like it's really cool.
Hashtag we're
We're Barbie
there.
girls.
I'm
Yeah.
a Barbie girl.
They have a kids one too.
Ooh.
Come on, Barbie, let's go
Junior
party.
Barbie.
Can kids go to Burning Man?
Yes, one of the first things I saw was they were building like a 20-something story scaffolding thing, and I was like, "Oh, look at that little kid! There's a little kid on top of there in like the hat and everything." And then he jumps off.
Oh my.
And he was on. He had like the safety equipment.
Oh, thank God.
On, and he just bounced off. And then I saw like a parent come in. And he was like, "Ah!" And he did it again and bounced right back up. And I was like,
You
"Oh
can't-
my God!"
Kids have to be, very open-minded because there's a lot of nudity there, I understand.
They're very.
That's why you're not going to see a lot of photography from
Those
Burning
are the
Man.
coolest kids
Yeah.
on earth, and they don't know how good they
Well,
have
kids
it.
don't care if they're naked.
Some of them grew up to be shitheads. I'll be honest.
Oh,
Like I've met some people like I've been going to Burning Man since
Well,
I
I
was
went to
2.
Burning
there's-
Man.
And you're like,
Oh, there's Whitetail Park down near the down the peninsula.
Yeah.
That's the nudist colony.
yeah.
Yeah, so-
you know what?
I grew up in a naked house since it was just me, my mom, and grandma.
Ain't no
I
shame.
mean, my grandpa, he couldn't move around that
I know
much.
me and my mom were, divorced parents live with my mom half the time. I mean, girls' home.
Yeah. So that's actually one of the reasons Ignite is sanctioned by Burning Man, is because it is all ages. So it's cool is that, like I told you, there's the temple at Burning Man. On Sunday, they have a temple as well. And you know how they have the conclave with the fire spinners on the Saturday night effigy? They have kids with glow toys
Oh,
surrounding
cute.
this temple Sunday night before they burn it.
aw.
And it I'm not a kid
That's
person.
like a
but I was
nice
like,
feeling.
I was like, that is so adorable.
The energy of innocence.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But I can't imagine, I as well am not a kid person, but
Yeah.
I can't imagine having to take care of your kid at Burning Man.
So they have a camp that's called Kindleton, and all the kids, and they have like parents who switch out,
Oh, okay.
and they kind of like, yeah, it's just beautiful. Again, it's one of those things you're like, this should be happening in
I
society.
know.
You know, like they should have a spot where parents.
Yeah, then
So
I
it's-
would maybe want to have kids because a bitch is burned out
Right.
already. I can't.
And then like the teenagers and stuff will like lead them and go to like workshops with them, and then PLF we do like a Disney theme thing where we have
Aw.
like let the kids come out. We have the flame effects, and they're all dancing. We have Disney songs like
Aw,
playing.
that's cute.
Really cool.
Okay, Lee, it's that time of the podcast.
Uh-oh.
We're gonna let Nyan take a
Yeah,
stab.
that's right.
Yes, everybody gets 3 guesses. My name, you see, everybody knows, everybody calls me by my middle name. My first name is a pretty big secret.
Yeah.
It's a little bit exotic
Okay.
of a first name, and so far, we've tried all the normal names,
And
Yeah.
but everybody gets 3 guesses. Let's give it a shot.
All right, everybody gets 3. Y'all too.
Mhm.
Yeah, we're going to make it, we're going to,
I got to go first though.
oh, you're our guest. Of course you go
Okay,
first.
that's fair.
You're on the hot seat.
All right. Well, the first one that came to mind is it Mordecai?
No, I wish it was.
That would be
Funny.
cool,
I
right?
have an I one too. Vashti.
No, not that exotic.
Geppetto.
Ooh, no.
Oh gosh, Raphael.
No.
Leonardo.
Donatello.
Pinocchio.
I think we got the Disney theme going on here.
Yeah.
Uh,
All right, this is my last one. I know it's like kind of basic, but is it Nicholas?
no.
Okay.
No.
Cutter.
No.
Nikolai.
No. Oh, well.
All right.
Dang
Uh,
it.
Have it all.
The $25 gift certificate goes on for that. It should be gathering interest by now.
Yeah.
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 That's funny.
Uh,
All right.
Did you say Vasant?
What?
Did you say Vasant?
No.
Oh, I thought you said Vasant. You said something that sounded kind of like that.
I
was
said
like,
Pinocchio, Geppetto, and Nikolai.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
and I've already forgotten what I said.
Okay, gotcha.
That's how little memory I have.
Yeah. All right. All right.
All right. So
Keep on
you.
watching. so we
Listen
can
to
figure
this,
out.
though. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we'll know.
Yeah.
Okay. First, we want to thank Ryan. Thank you so much for coming
This was
on.
so much fun.
So, like, honestly, I was really interested in this topic, and I feel like I got someone here, and I could just ask all my Burning Man questions.
Yeah.
And I think we're gonna need a little follow up in the future,
yeah.
maybe, especially when you do like the festival you're talking about.
And we gotta send our stuff on that
The
Polar
Manchester.
Express train to Burning Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, like I said, just kind of keep me in the loop and like on how serious you are, because like right now they have the you have to, it's like a raffle, so
Oh,
you
okay.
have to like I think
Oh.
you put a deposit down, and then they like pick your name, and then if you get picked, then you have to pay the rest. And then there's other ways to where like you can, like what I'm doing is I'm volunteering at other burns as a ranger, and then once you get certain hours, then you can get in to Burning Man as a ranger, but you have to work, you know, like X amount of hours in order to get the free ticket. Exothermia also, like they are going and they all get tickets, and then if you're a photographer, musician, or so forth, then you can get extra tickets as well.
Awesome.
So you don't, you know, that's the thing is like don't be super intimidated by the like expensive tickets or like the chance of being able to go or not go. There are lots of opportunities. Just let me know.
All right, yeah, definitely will. And
amazing.
also,
What's
my
scholarships for-
30th is around the corner,
All
so I feel
right.
like that'd be a good time to go.
That's
Yeah.
right.
Celebrate a
Oh, my
milestone.
God. You're
I'm
gonna be
ready.
30. I'm going to be 60.
I'm not going to be 30 yet. 29 is coming up.
Yeah.
There you go.
But next year I'll be 60, so.
Aw, like my
Celebrate
mom.
the moments of your love.
All right, so make sure to follow Ryan. We'll link the socials, like we
Yes.
said. And then shout out to Lee Dungeon Studios. If you have a podcast that needs to be recorded, if you are a musician, you need some. Well, if you're a lyricist or a singer and you need some music, come see Lee. Find
You
him
want to
on
make a
Facebook.
little recording, you know, for your loved one, perhaps your baby daddy, your
Little
lover. I don't know, a little ditty
Lady O did.
for your daddy,
I
your
did.
baby daddy. Then
I
you know where
did
to
it
come.
myself. I recorded a Christmas CD for my family with Lee Dungeon Studios' help.
Nice.
So I can attest. He's an incredible musical engineer.
I play a lot of instruments. I got a lot of time on my hands.
Too
And
much
then
time
please-
on my hands.
We're dinks. Double income, no kids.
Double D in the morning.
And then, of course, follow our pod, please.
Yes, and please review us on Apple and Spotify. It really helps out the podcast. It makes us like go up. I don't really know how it works.
We
but it
reach
really
more and
helps.
more followers the more that you guys do that. And, you know, if we're famous, then it's like you're famous, right?
Yeah.
Yep,
What's
yep.
your like your top 3 ways you like people to check you out? Because I checked you out on YouTube and I enjoyed it.
Oh, wow. You're like the only one. I
Yeah.
feel like Instagram is the way to go for most of our followers, which is at olala_RVA.
Cool. And then Spotify is another
Same.
Spotify is Olala and the Dungeon podcast.
cool, and then YouTube's like your third route.
Yeah.
Cool.
And we have a link tree on our Instagram, so you can find all of our stuff there.
And we're on Apple iTunes.
We're on
Okay.
everything.
Yep.
Nice.
Pretty-
Apple
yeah.
Podcasts.
Amazon Music.
You can find us everywhere. Just we're getting big, and you always want it bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're gonna catch us while we're not famous yet. I'm just kidding, but who knows? And also, if you know an interesting person, from that lives in the area, please send us a message. We'd love to get them on.
Yes, we're so enjoying this. We hope you are too. So listen in. We'll be back at
shout outs, I guess.
Oh, a shout out! Shout out!
We're gonna shout out miscellaneous.
Sorry, I'm getting ahead
been
of
following
myself.
her. Been
Yes,
following her
miscellaneous,
sites
of
and
course.
is
We got the Bar West.
Oh, yeah, we got the rodeo. What was that?
Rodeo.
and I went to Shorty's Diner. They're very nice. If you want just Americana, 50s Americana. The decor is wonderful and the food's good.
Yum. And the Richmond Kickers.
Gallery 5, First Fridays.
Yeah.
Hello, PLF.
Yeah, I was gonna say check out Party Liberation Foundation on plfrva.com, and then obviously party_liberation_foundation, and then you can also find like PLF community. We were called Party Liberation Front, and then when we became a nonprofit, it's Party Liberation Foundation.
All right, awesome.
Perfect.
Thank
and you can find all that linked on our Instagram page, wherever you follow us.
Yay.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Bye,
Talk
guys.
to you next time. Peace.